Ciao and welcome to episode number 36 of Explode Your Coaching Business podcast, brought to you by gtex.org.uk. I'm your host, the one and the only super sexy Simone Vincenzi, and this is the podcast for coaches, speakers and trainers who want to grow their businesses by making an impact in the world. To receive daily support in your coaching business and speaking business, make sure you join right now our private Facebook group, Explode Your Coaching Business. I am active there daily to help and support your business. You can ask me any question there in the group. Also, once you've joined, we will send you the ultimate selling from stage checklist, which is the most comprehensive checklist from creating a pitch that sells without being a douchebag, which is something we are really passionate about. Today, I have the pleasure to interview the one and the only Daven Michaels. And Daven is an international speaker, coach and mentor who built several million-dollar businesses. His book, Outsource Smart, was the New York Times bestseller, Los Angeles Times bestseller, and Amazon #1 bestseller. And Daven has shared a stage with people like Bill Clinton. What? Bill Clinton? Wow. Mark Victor Hansen, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Dean Graziosi, and he travels the world doing seminars in front of thousands and thousands of people. So in this interview, I asked him, how can you become an international speaker? How do you become the greatest selling from the stage? And how to connect with event organizers and get books as a speaker. So he will answer all those questions and much, much more. Make sure that if you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, you can subscribe like right now in this moment. Just subscribe. Yep, there. Good job. And also, if you want to reach out to me, you can send me an email at simone@gtex.org.uk and I will reply personally. And now, without further ado, it's time to introduce the one and the only Daven Michaels. Hello and welcome to episode number 36 of Explode Your Coaching Business Show. Here is Simone Vincenzi, your host, and today I'm with the one and the only Daven Michaels. How are you doing, Daven?
I'm good, Simone. Thanks so much for having me.
That's perfect. So thank you for accepting the invite. Now, you've been, you are incredible. Your companies are really leaving a dent in this industry. But before we start talking about how do you help other speakers or how do you help other coaches growing their businesses? What I would love to ask you is, why the heck did you want to become a speaker? Why the heck did you start in this industry?
Well, that's a great question, Simone. And I guess to answer that, I'd have to share a little bit about my background. So I've been self-employed for over 30 years now, and I'm very fortunate. Most of those years were fruitful. Of course, I paid my dues to get where I'm at today, but it's been a pretty good ride. And so I've always been grateful for the money and the time freedom, but I really didn't find my true nirvana till I started speaking and teaching and making a difference in other people's lives. And that shift that happened for me in my life happened about 5 years ago, maybe 6, and really changed everything for me. So I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to be able to do what I do, to travel the globe and hang out with like-minded entrepreneurs just like you. And honestly, I do it for free, but thankfully I get paid to do it. But what happened was about a decade ago, I started an outsourcing company.
Right.
The company has 123 employees, and today, we have nearly 400 employees on 3 continents.
And how many did you started? How many?
Oh gosh, in the early days, we had 10 employees when we first started.
It's been quite a growth, right?
It has been, and now that growth is really starting to get exponential. We're hoping by next year to double those numbers, have about close to 1,000 employees, and it's been very exciting. And anyways, what happened was we started the company a decade ago, and in the early days, we were doing virtual assistants for entrepreneurs. And back then, entrepreneurs knew nothing about outsourcing. I mean, the big companies were doing it, but small businesses weren't, and they didn't understand it. They didn't even really think they needed it.
Yeah.
And so we realized early on that if we wanted to have a market to advertise to market to have as clients, we'd have to create that market. And so we kind of sat down and we said, well, how can we do this? And we decided to adopt an educational model. And that's when I started writing books and creating info products. And then the next progression was, well, hey, I should probably speak on stages, because we wanted to go from speaking to one to speaking to many, right? Because that's how you grow your audience.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And so we knew that it was in the cards that I should start speaking, and we were kind of going in that direction. And then it was an old friend of mine, Marshall Silver, that put me on my first stage, and he did. And of course, it was an evolution. I find that all successful speakers have had training, right? You can't. I mean,
yep.
There are no naturals. I don't care how good you are. If you really want to speak to sell or speak to make an impact, you got to have training. And so in the early days, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, and I certainly fell on my ass. I actually fell on my ass once, to be honest with you. I mean, I guess I've made mistakes over the years, but there was one big one, and that's when I woke up and I was like, okay, yeah, I need to get training. And so
you know what? Let me stop you there just before I get you going, because yesterday I put a post on Facebook on writing what has been your worst moment as a speaker, and that when Baluchis, I mean, I've got now for more than 50 people that are there commenting, and I'm actually writing a long blog post with all these things. So, do you mind sharing what was that time when you bombed and how that impacted you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was really a series of 3 bombs, but it was the big one that it impacted me. It changed my entire life.
Right. I mean, you're the kind of person that does things in big, not one, but 3 bombs, right?
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
I go big or go home.
That's exactly that. That's I'm the same way, and that's exactly what I did. So here's what happened. When I first started speaking, I would do a free close. So I would say, and I'm just for those of you listening out there, I'm a selling speaker. I do keynotes. I just did a keynote in Ecuador a couple days ago. But the reality is, for the most part, I'm a selling speaker. I think over the next couple of years, I'll probably eventually evolve into 50-50. But the reality is, whatever you want to do on stage, God bless you. But if the highest paid people in the world are selling speakers. I mean,
yes, indeed.
Get paid $100,000 for an hour. So anyway, so what had happened was I was speaking from stage, and I was doing a free close. So basically, at the end of my presentation, I would say, hey, if you want more information on our services, fill out this form and we'll give you a call. And, over half the room filled out the forms because it was free. Why not? And
of course.
So, I thought I was hot shit. Pardon my
now, please, use your French.
We'll keep it real. All right. So, I thought I was, I'm a natural. So anyway, so I was doing that for a while, and then I did a speaker training. I just went to kind of like a free class, and it was taught by these guys, and they were awesome. And after a few days, they had an upsell to their coaching program, which was fair. And I talked to them. I said, I don't know, should I do it? Shouldn't I? I mean, I'm having a lot of success. And they go, well, it's up to you. If you feel like it's right for you, then let's do it. If not, it's fine. So I didn't do it initially. And then what happened was I met this guy. His name was Mike. And Mike did a big event in Vegas every year for about 400 people.
Right.
And I wanted to speak on that stage, but I knew that there was no reason why Mike would put me on that stage. I wasn't a big speaker. I didn't have a great reputation. I wasn't a New York Times best-selling author yet. I didn't have that leverage. And so what I did, I was like, you know what? How could I be of service? And I went to him. I just go, how can I help you with your event? And I knew what he was going to say. He was going to say, to help sell some tickets. And I thought, I could do that. I could do that. Yeah, of course. And so, and by the way, if you're listening to this, and you're really trying to grow your speaking business, if you can come up with a way to help promoters get butts and seats, or if you're in Europe, bums and seats, that's what they all want. That's what they all want, and that can be your leverage point, right? I mean, because they get calls all day long from people say, "Put me on your stage," or "Put me on your stage," "Put me on your stage," "Put me on your stage." You call and say, "I can help you get butts and seats." They're going to take your call. So what happened was I went to Mike and I said, "Yeah, I think I could do this," and so I did, and I started selling tickets for his event. Maybe not a ton, maybe 10 or 20 tickets, but I'll tell you what happened. He called me out of the blue, and he said, "You know what, Davin?" He said, "I've got big speakers speaking on my stage. I've got Marshall Silver, I've got Les Brown, I've got he had Mark Victor Hansen, a lot of big people." He said, "You know what? Not a single person has has sold one ticket. He said, I'm going to put you on my stage. I go, wow, that's great.
Nice.
So now I needed a product to sell. I didn't have a product that I sold from stage. Remember, I was just doing this free close.
Yeah.
And so I put together a program, got it all together, and I had a ton of the product created. It was a physical product. I had it shipped to Vegas, and then I came out. I brought the whole family, not just my family, but my extended family. So I brought my girl, our kids, her mom's boyfriend. I got everybody there.
So you got all the cheerleading team like we do.
Exactly. So I get up on stage. I do my presentation. They go running to the back of the room, and the dust sort of cleared. And I turned to the people. I said, "How did we do?" And they said, "Well, we sold a couple." And I said, "What? We only sold a couple?" And I couldn't believe it. So I brought my whole family out to watch me tank, and I was so bummed. Now, I do have to say that, just so you know, basically, Mark Victor Hansen goes up, sells half the room. Marshall Silver goes up, sells 75% of the room, or 95% of the room. Adam Ginsberg gets up, sells the other half of the room. So certainly the room was a bit sold out. But hey, at the end of the day, I still tanked. And so I couldn't believe it. I was devastated. And I didn't tell anybody, because my belief was that if the word got out that I didn't sell, that nobody would ever put me on their stage again. And the reality is, no matter how good you are, if you're really good, if you're in the top, 5%, which I would like to think I am, which I'm very proud of and humbled by, then you're still not going to win every single time. You're maybe 9 out of 10 times. Every once in a while, there's just going to maybe the wrong audience, the wrong message to market match, or maybe you're not on your game, or you screw something up. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that, though. I really thought, like, if you bomb once or twice, nobody ever calls you again. So I couldn't tell anybody. I had no one to talk to except my girl. And so my first call was to one of those coaches of that event that I went to. And I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" He goes, "Good, man."
Do you mind me asking who were those coaches?
I don't mind at all. It was Dave Van Hoos. So I reached out to Dave, who's one of my best buds, and I said, "Hey, Dave, how's it going, buddy?" He goes, "Good, man. How you doing?" I go, "Good, good." He goes, "What's going on?" And I didn't even tell him that I tanked. Because I didn't want anybody to know. Okay, so I said, "Well, I was just wondering, could I come out and do that training with you?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure. When do you want to come out?" I said, "How soon can I come out?" He said,
"Now."
Exactly.
So I'm there in an hour.
That's right. So the following week, I was on a plane. I get to him, and I jump in the car, and he goes, he picks me up at the airport. I jump in the car. He goes, "How's it going, buddy?" I go, "Oh my God, it's terrible. I tanked. I can't believe it." And he goes, Okay. He goes, "Tell me what you did." So I go, "I did this. He goes, "Well, you forgot to do this, that, and that." And I go, "Oh my gosh." So right then and there, he knew what was up. But I did my training, okay, and that was my first training, and I really invest in my craft. I'm passionate about it. I love doing it, so I invest in it. But I did my first training. I spent about $10,000 for the day, and then I went out to Vegas, ironically, to do my first presentation as a trained trainer now, right? And I go out there and I tank, okay? And my VP was there, and he goes, "I don't get it." He goes, "You're 10 times better than you were before." So then I come back out the next month, and I speak for that same person again, and I tank again.
What?
I couldn't believe it. And so then a third time I get booked by somebody else, and I crushed it, and then crushed it, got bigger stages.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what happened. Those first two stages, the people I was talking to, the club they were in was called the $10 a month club. Okay,
right.
So that I can tell you right now why I tanked those two times. But yeah, since then it's got bigger. Where speaking has taken me is I've seen I've been all over the world. When I was in my mid-20s, I'd never been out of my country. I've had people pay me to go to Mount Everest with them. I've shared the stage with Bill Clinton to 6,000 people in London. I just got off a stage in Brighton with 3,500 people. And speaking has changed my life. And the way it's changed my life is, one, I love to travel. I love to see the world. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I came out of the nightclub business, and the nightclub business is kind of a flaky business. And so I was always kind of the richest guy, the most successful guy, and I wanted to hang out with guys that were like 10 times wealthier than I was, 10 times happier than I was. Because I know that, that pulls you up. I wanted to learn and take that in and exchange ideas. And today I do get to do that. And that really nourishes my soul and my intellect. So I love doing that. And I love hanging out with like-minded people, entrepreneurs. I mean, it's one of my favorite things to do. I'll tell you a funny story.
Go for it.
I was a while ago, I was speaking in London, so I hopped over to Cyprus to hang out with a good buddy of mine, Mark Anastasi. You probably know Mark.
Yeah, I know Mark. Actually, I was running a seminar in the room beside him one day. We used the same venue for delivering our seminars in London.
Oh, that's great, yeah. So, as a matter of fact, that might have been where we met. Did we meet when I was out at
the first time we met, and actually I'll tell you now, you didn't know that, we met at a Success Resources event, and you were selling from the stage, and I wanted to buy your product. It's just that I couldn't get enough money together to work with you. That was actually, I spent the last 4 days after I saw you pitching, and I wanted to work with you. And I spent the last 4 days, contacting everyone, because I had, I think, about £200 in my bank account at the moment. I contacted everyone to get this money together. But when I was explaining what the money was for, they were like, they were in the personal development crowd, so it was quite difficult to convince because they weren't there. But that's how actually I met you, and. In fact, now for me it's great, like having a chat with you on our podcast at the moment.
It's come full circle, right?
It's come full circle, and that was 5 years. Sure. That was 5 years ago, and that's when I think was that with when Bill Clinton? That was with Bill Clinton. I don't think that was that was Bill. Oh, it was another one.
Different promoter, but yeah, I remember this event. It was Never Work Again.
Yes, Never Work Again. That was the event. Yes.
There was about 2,000 people in the room, and it was very interesting because. There were people from Spain, from Germany, from Italy, from the UK.
Yeah.
So I'm speaking, but it's being translated into 4 or 5 different languages. So that was a total trip. I remember that event. There's a lot of things that happened at the event too. I'll give you another little bit more backstory. So there was another guy that saw me speak, and he came up to me after, and he said, I really like what you're doing. And he said, listen, I'm looking for a mentor. Do you have a coaching program? And I go, well, yeah, actually I do. And I said, we do it in mastermind style at my house.
Yeah.
And he goes, when's the next one? I want to come. And I said, next weekend. And he goes, okay, I'm in. And he was a young guy in his mid-20s, Neil. And he the next weekend he flew to L.A., to Hollywood to be with me in my house.
Right.
He ends up falling in love with my assistant Kristen. They got married.
Oh my God!
Yeah, Kristen quit on me. We're still friends, but she quit on me. She moved to London with Neil, and they're doing really well. So that's interesting. So that's amazing. So it's if you're, I know that. Simone, you were talking to me a little earlier about the people that are on this podcast. And they range from people that are very successful speakers but want to take their business to another level, and also speakers that are up and coming and they're just trying to figure it out. And if you're sitting there listening to this and you're just trying to figure it out, it's like, Simone, if you look back at your life 5 years ago, could you ever imagine it would be like it is today?
You know what? On one sense, no.
Okay, yeah, but you were envisioning it.
I was envisioning, like, this is where I wanted to be. I knew, when probably a lot of speakers start this way. When I was sitting in the audience, I was like, one day I'm going to be that guy on the stage, and I had no doubt about it. I'm like, okay, I just need to put the hours in. I just need to know how to do that, and I'll be happy to pay someone to teach me that. But I had no doubt that I could be that guy. It took me 6 years of working 20 hours a day, but at the end of the day, it happened. And I think if there is a lesson I've learned on this, is just about consistency. Because if I'm looking at this, you've been around for these 5 years. You never quit a day, and you kept speaking and you kept going. Yeah. And for the past 6 years, as soon as I started, the first event with 2 people, I was there. And it didn't matter if there was 1 person or 10 people, 100 people or 1,000 people. I was there, and I think that's a big lesson that I've learned from you as well.
That's awesome. Now, did you say it was 5 years ago that we first met?
I think it was 5 years ago.
So if it was 5 years ago, it took me about 18 months before I started getting on international stages.
Right.
And so it was probably, so that means I've been speaking for about 6.5, 7 years. Yeah, I have no concept of time. But I guess, there's some valuable lessons there. So one is you had 100% belief that you could make it happen, right? I guess you already saw this time period in your head 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
You just had to get there. And you were consistent. You never stopped. You never quit. Didn't matter how many times you get spanked. You just got to keep going. I mean, the only way to really fail is to just quit and throw in the towel.
Yeah.
And also, I'll reframe that question because I probably didn't ask it properly. The real question is, what the hell was the question I was going to say? Is that it's amazing. I guess it's not. It's more of a statement than a question.
Go for it.
It's amazing how quickly your life can change. I mean, granted, 5 years is a big chunk of time, but in a lifetime, it's just really like a.
It's ridiculous. Time, right? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I think that's what's incredible. If you're sitting there and you're struggling or you're trying to figure this thing out, 5 years from now, you're going to look back at this time and go, wow, this is incredible. Like I can't believe how much I've accomplished in such a short amount of time. And the reality is, if you're sitting there, you really have I guess you have three options. You can just do nothing, right? You can take action, or you can take massive action, right? And work as fast as you can, just like you did. And it's a choice, but I'll tell you this, the reality is we're all going to be dead in before you can even blink your eyes, you're going to be dead. That's how I feel. I'm middle-aged now. Okay. I mean, I don't even like to verbalize that, but that's the reality is I'm middle-aged and I'm going to be dead soon. I mean, and I don't mean to prophesize my death. I hope I live to be 150, but that's the reality is by the time you blink, you're going to be gone. And so it's like, you can take the slow route, but shit, you're going to be dead soon. So it's like, I'm doing the fast route because I got a lot of things I want to do in this lifetime before I move on to the next.
And it is, I think, a great reminder of you never know what can happen. So at least you have no regrets. You've done something. If I die, if I cross the road and a bus hit me, I'm like, I'm happy. I mean, I'm living. I'm doing what I want to do, and there is nowhere else I want to be. Nothing else I want to do. Now, the question for you is, for everyone who is listening, what is the most effective strategy that you found right now in this time? Because like 6 years ago there were some strategies, and right now there is another strategy. There are different strategies that works to grow a coaching or speaking business. So what works for you?
Sure. Well, I think my biggest tactic, my biggest strategy I can share is, I'm often asked, because there were a lot of people that were around, in pre-NWF, Never Work Again, NWA, pre-meeting you in the UK when I was just starting out in the US. And those people asked me, like, how is it that you were able to start speaking on massive stages in such a short amount of time?
Yeah. Because 18 months is short.
18 months, I started speaking internationally. And what happened was, when I first started speaking, I really kind of sat down. I said, where do I want to go with this? Do I want to speak on small stages and sell coaching and this and that? What do I want this to look like? And the reality is, I want to speak on big stages. I'm a performer. I'm a big stage guy. I feed off the audience, and I come out of the entertainment business. So, one of the things I love about speaking, it allows me to get that entertainment out of me, and so I want to speak on big stages and get that big energy. And I knew that the biggest stages were overseas. The U.S., those stages are kind of shrinking, and so I want to speak overseas. So I sat there and I said, how could I do this? And I knew, again, remember, how could I add value by helping people get bums and seats? And so what I did is I'm in the virtual assistant business. So I took 3 of my employees and I put them in 3 different time zones, and I gave them some info for data mining. So I told them the type of stages I wanted to speak on. For me, it was like internet marketing, social media, business, sales, etc. And then I had each one within their time zone or region that I gave them geographically. I had them go on the internet and find those stages. And then they were putting them together in a Google Doc. And then I would review that doc and say, okay, this is the right type of stage because of this. This is the wrong stage because of that. and we would refine that search. So then they created a list of events, the promoters, and then as much data as they could find on the promoters. So email addresses, phone numbers, mailing addresses, social media sites, as much info as possible. And then I would have them reach out on my behalf, and they would just call out and say, hey, I'm calling on behalf of Daven Michaels. He's a speaker. I wasn't, a big author or anything yet, but he's a speaker, but he's also really good at getting butts in seats. And I want to schedule, Daven asked me to reach out to you, schedule about 20 minutes where you could jump on a call and see how he could add value to what you're doing. And then we would jump on a conference bridge. It was myself. It was my U.S. assistant, Kristen, the one that ran off with Neil. And we would jump on a call together, and, I would talk to the promoter, and maybe 5 out of 10 times we would make a deal. After about 10, 20 times, I stopped showing up. Kristen would jump on the call and say, you know what, Daven just got roped into a phone call, but rather than make you wait, let's just jump into it. And then I was off traveling the globe speaking on stages. And today, 80% of the stages I speak on are outside the U.S. And again, this is something you can do in your speaking business. It's something you could do in your coaching business, any business really.
I think just what you said right now is worth millions. If someone does it,
it was worth millions for me, for sure.
And it's going to be worth millions for anyone. And I'm sure that there are hundreds and thousands of people that are listening to this podcast, and few of them will actually do it. So maybe 5 people will do it. Yeah. But these 5 people, if they do this, they're gonna bank it, because at the end of the day, as you said, what promoters want, something really smart that you said, you went into the mind of a promoter. You went into the mind of the event organizer. What do they want? Bums on seats. And as great book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, in order to get what you want, give other people what they want. Simple, basic principle. And you applied it, and you made your fortune on that. So hats off to you for being really smart and really strategic on this strategy. So now, in terms of business model, so there are a lot of people that come to me and they ask, okay, what is the perfect business model? And every time they ask me this question, I'm like, okay, well, my opinion is that there is no perfect business model. There is just a business model that works for you as an individual. Mm-hmm. What is the business model that works for you?
Really great question, Simone. So, yeah, I agree with you. There is no perfect business model, and business models, especially today in this world of technology and innovation, you're tweaking it constantly. But for us, we adopted this information marketing model almost 10 years ago, and it's really served us, and it's allowed us to do some really cool things, and it's really grown over the years. So today, I'll tell you what it looks like. So first of all, I write my books, and my books always lead back to me in some way, shape, or form. So back to our outsourcing services or my coaching programs or
what's your latest book?
So the most recent book I put out was a book called Outsource Smart. That one became a New York Times bestseller. That was out in 2014.
Nice one.
And I have right now I think I have about 5 or 6 books right now that I've written that haven't been released yet. And we actually were just a couple days ago, I had my team all together, and we're kind of planning and mapping out 2017.
Yeah. And
I was like, look, we haven't released a book in a couple years, and I've got all these books sitting around collecting dust, and it's time to get them out. And so we put it into the plan. It looks like we are going to release another book in 2017, either one of 3 books. One is called Lessons from Beyond. The other is The Dream of Utopia. And the last one is The Guru Master. So we'll probably put out one of those. And the reason why we haven't done it yet is because it's such an ordeal from a marketing standpoint. It's so much work. It utilizes all the resources of our company. And although we've made millions and millions of dollars from our books, it's not immediate. So we don't, if we put out a book, we don't make millions from the book sales. We make millions from the back end sales.
From the back end of the books.
Yeah, so all that takes time. Now, I've recently created a technology. Actually, it's not even created yet, but I've mapped out this idea that there would be a technology play to actually make the book go viral, and we'd actually probably make $1 million on the front end. So I'm excited about that, and that's got my team a lot more excited because now we can see money on the front end and back end.
I'm really excited about that. Let me know when it's done.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really excited about it. I think what we're going to do is, if it works, which I feel fairly confident that it will, I think we'll start a publishing company because, again, we can, take any good author with good content and have it go viral and sell 1 million books. So
keep me posted.
Yeah, I will for sure. I will. So anyway,
so going back to the business model, you said that you went to the books first.
Exactly, books first. So books lead people back to us. The next thing is, I speak on stages, obviously, and then we do our own events all over the globe. So we do events in Australia, New Zealand, US, Europe, Asia, and so we do those events, and people that come to our events always end up buying our services or coaching. And then let's see. Then we have my info products. Info products always come bundled with 123 employee services. And then finally, as of this year, we now create software as well, and that comes bundled with 123 employee services. And in November, we did a big launch for the first software platform, and we did 7 figures. We did about 1.3 million in sales in November of that platform. And we didn't create the software to sell software. I mean, we are selling software, but we created the software to sell virtual assistant services. So when you buy the software, it comes bundled with the virtual assistant to run the platform for you, and it's just another vehicle to sell more services.
That's brilliant. So for everyone that is listening at the moment, is really looking at what is the backhand of services that you are offering, because there are a lot of people that they are going to that mentality when they're starting out. I want to run an event. I'm going to make money on ticket sales. I'm going to publish a book and I'm going to make money selling the book. No, that's a bunch of shit. You're not going to make that money there unless you really go viral, which we are talking about hundreds of thousands or millions of copy. But up until you get there.
Yeah, and that's like literally like 1/1,000,000th of the population is going to have this runaway best-selling book.
Exactly.
But you can sell 5,000 copies of a book and make $1 million if you just have a solid back end.
Exactly.
The biggest book, the book that made me the most amount of money ever, would probably maybe 10 million or something like that, was a book we gave away for free. What happened was my first book on outsourcing, and we charged for it in the early days. We charged like $18, and one day I was like, why are we charging for this book? Because what do I care about book sales? I was in it to sell outsourcing services, and I'm like, why do I have this barrier to entry where people have to buy my book? Why don't I just give it away? And we started giving it away, and the phone started ringing off the hook. So, it's all about strategy and back end.
Massive. So I have last 2 questions, and then we are wrapping up the podcast. So far, I think you've blown everyone away, and I'm here sitting on the edge of my chair. I'm like taking notes like crazy, and to put in the comments as well. Now, the question for you is that I ask everyone is what do you see the future of the speaking industry?
Mm-hmm. So, that's a really good question.
Thank you.
What do I see the future? Yeah, absolutely. I don't see it changing that much than it is right now. I think people have I think today more than ever, we live in the information age. People are hungry for information. They're on information overload, of course, but they're still interested in it. What I will say, I guess there is one big shift that is certainly happening, and that is people don't want to leave their house. So what's going to happen now is that there's more and more webinars, more and more virtual events. In the month of November, I did over 140 webinars, and
in the month of November, 140 webinars.
Yeah,
that's insane.
They were pre-recorded.
Right. I was like, that's insane.
Yeah.
But
it was a big number. But people will jump on a webinar with you. People will jump on a live stream with you for a half a day or a couple days, but they don't really want to come out as much. Yeah, which is unfortunate because I love to meet people in person. So, but it is moving, virtual, and you have to go with that. I'll tell you what the next thing is going to be, though, for sure.
Go for it.
And I know this for sure, and this is huge. And I almost don't even want to put this out there, but just because I want to do it first. But the reality is, I know that everybody's going to do it, so it is what it is. But the next big thing is VR. So what's going to happen is you're going to grab an Oculus Rift, you're going to put it on your head, and you're going to be with me for 3 days in London or Las Vegas or New York, and you're not going to leave your living room. And we actually have an event coming up in February in Vegas, and we are looking at shooting it in VR so that people can actually attend in the future virtually. And if you have not put on an Oculus Rift pair of glasses yet, and there are other variations, but you got to try Oculus Rift. Go to find a Windows store like a Microsoft store and go in and do the demo, because if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a visionary, you put those glasses on and your world will never be the same. It will change your view on everything. You'll see where it's going. You're now
Matt, I'm thinking, you know, when you do the sales at the back of the room, like having people crashing into walls because they are running it. It's like,
absolutely.
Boom.
Let me ask you this: have you put on the glasses yet?
I did, man. It changed my life. It changed my life.
I tell everyone it changed my life. Like, once you, like, if you're an entrepreneur, you put those on, you're like, oh my gosh, the whole world is about to change.
Yep.
You're gonna go to the top of Mount Everest virtually. You're gonna be able to go to rock concerts. You're gonna be able to go wherever you want to go. The reality is, you're gonna have sex with whoever you want to have sex with. I mean, I hope I didn't offend people.
No, go with that.
It's the sky is the limit. It's like what is about to happen. People have no idea, and the world is about to change in the most amazing way. Yeah,
massive. So thank you very much for this. I think it's going to be a massive revolution in any industry, and in particular, the speaking industry is going to be affected massively by that. And there was a few days ago, Mark Zuckerberg that actually did a massive Facebook conference using virtual reality, using VR. So they are doing it, and I'm looking forward to doing it myself as well.
Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to attending one of your events as well in VR.
Yes.
Okay, that's brilliant. Okay, now this is the last question, and to wrap up the podcast, you've been incredible. And how can people get in touch with you, Daven?
Sure. So there's a couple of ways. You could either go to davenmichaels.com. That's DAVENMICHAELS.com. That's probably the best thing. But if you want to take a little closer, dive into our outsourcing services, you can go to 123employee.com. Either way, you go to either of those pages, and we've got a bunch of free stuff for you. Give you our 3 or 4 things, but some pretty awesome stuff on the house to enjoy and check out.
That's brilliant. Is there anything in particular that you can give to our audience, to the people that are listening right now?
I can, yeah. So let me give you kind of a little private.
Okay. I cannot hear you anymore, Daven.
Sorry, I accidentally muted.
Okay, right. I was like, where are you?
Sorry about that, buddy. Yeah, if you go to 123employee.com/S for Simone, then you will find some extra special goodies for you. I'll give you a copy of one of my books and our VA service guide and my 5-part list building video series. So just go to 123employee.com/S for Simone.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And guys, make sure that you go there and you see what Daven has prepared for you, because I've been witnessing his seminars. I've been witnessing the value that he delivers from stage. I've been witnessing how fast actually his team as well can do stuff for you. So you don't have to waste your time, and you can just focus on what you love and what you want. So make sure you go there and get in touch with Daven, because I really respect him, and it puts was that to say? It puts your money when your mouth is. You put your mouth when your money is.
Yeah, money when your mouth is.
You put your money when your mouth is. Okay, I'm just learning this English anecdotes right now. That's brilliant, Daven. Thank you very much for being on Explode Your Coaching Business Show. It's been incredible having you here. You still there? Have you muted yourself again? Okay, well, we cannot hear Daven anymore, but right now, thank you very much for listening to another episode, to episode number 36 of Explode Your Coaching Business Show. It's been incredible having you here and listening to this episode of the podcast. If you haven't subscribed from already, what the heck are you waiting for? Just go there right now and subscribe and leave us a comment. Let us know what you liked and what are you going to do with what Daven shared today, and also make sure you connect with Daven. From Simone Vincenzi is everything. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time, and always play with purpose. Ciao.